This is a rare look inside the federal operation that's meant to keep consumers safe. In Newark, New Jersey, federal agents check boxes coming into the country through the nearby port, looking for things that are banned here, like items that are flammable or have excessive lead. They check cribs and hair bows and look through boxes, sometimes running them through a chemical scanner. To understand why we're bringing you here, meet Scott Taylor.
So as long as anybody who's going to ask me and want to talk about it and will listen, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about her. It makes me sad sometimes, but it also brings her very much back to right here.
Taylor has spoken about his daughter Abby many times, but his passion for her life and how it may save the daughters and sons of others continues.
If you knew her, she was always the life of the party. She was always the reason I wear pink and the reason I dress the way that I do often with a lot of color is because of her.
In June 2007, 6-year-old Abby played in a country club's kiddie pool filled with just 18 inches of water.
At some point, she got near the pool drain, sat on it, and her buttocks created a seal around the pool sump, the bowl, if you will, and she was eviscerated, and meaning that she lost her small intestine.
The drain essentially suctioned her to the bottom of the pool. That drain concealed with a cover that her family says they later found had been broken earlier and wasn't installed correctly.
She got out of the pool. She managed to get herself off of the pool drain, took a few steps and passed out.
Abby went to a local children's hospital, and the family then found out something was seriously wrong.
She went into surgery. The doctor came out and told us what had happened, and we were completely shocked and caught off guard.
For 9 months, Abby was in and out of the hospital. Multiple surgeries and transplants didn't take. On March 20th, 2008, Abby Taylor passed away. The type of pool drain cover that Abby was suctioned to is now banned due to a law passed the year she died, named after another little girl who also died in a similar incident, Virginia Graham Baker, whose initials are now stamped on legal drain covers sold in the U.S.
The goal was to get them completely off the market, which we did from a retail standpoint. However, as I understand, they're available on the internet somewhere, coming in from other places.
In fact, we found these matches for banned pool drain covers appearing online, being sold through third-party sellers on big box retail sites in major online marketplaces. Here's another. In March, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, or CPSC, warned a Chinese company that its pool drain cover violated the law and requested a recall, which went up a month later. The Amazon retailer put a note about the recall on its site, but months later we were able to buy one that appears in photos to be identical to the one the CPSC flagged and recalled.
Are some of these companies not even American companies?
I think a lot of the companies that we see on the imports coming in are not American companies, and that's a problem we're seeing in the e-commerce space as well. What we're seeing is that on the platforms that you're buying things, you think you're buying it from somebody else, but really it's a fly-by-night seller coming in from overseas.
This is where we come back to the federal facility in Newark, one of just 24 ports in the U.S. where the CPSC regularly inspects shipments.
We have a tremendous amount of trade in this country, tremendous amount of product coming into it. So do we catch everything? Not enough, because we don't have the resources to really get out there and cover everything as much as we'd like to.
Our team found over a dozen products that appeared to match those the CPSC found to be in violation of safety laws, from bike helmets to outdoor equipment that are still available to buy through major online retailers.
How do you police that?
We've seen things online by a seller that we know have killed a child before. We have flagged it for the platform, and then a week later we see the same listing under a slightly different name on the platform. And again, we tell the platform, they take it down, but that game of whack-a-mole has to stop, and the platforms are really in the best place to be able to do that.
We analyzed hundreds of notices of violation from the CPSC. Warnings sent after the agency ran tests like this to companies across the globe, many exporting products here to the U.S., for problems from breaking lead paint regulations to posing choking hazards. We found more than 14,000 notices filed between 2017 and 22, and of those, the government requested around 900 products to be recalled. But in nearly half of those cases, we found no evidence the company recalled their products. Part of the problem, tracking them down. We looked up the addresses tied to many of the violations and found they traced to shops in strip malls, apartment complexes, even large homes and gated communities. Many were storage and shipping warehouses, including Amazon facilities, but not the product maker itself.
That's exactly the problems that we also see trying to trace back when we find a dangerous product. And oftentimes, if it ends up being overseas, it's a lot harder for us to actually get the manufacturer to do anything.
Here's part of the reason why. Foreign or domestic, the CPSC can't force a company to do a recall without jumping through assorted hoops.
The recall process itself, to the extent that we do a mandatory recall, requires us to sue a company. And that does take a tremendous amount of time and takes a tremendous amount of resources. And honestly, getting a recall a year and a half later doesn't actually help consumers at all.
In July, Amazon announced a new program. It will now alert consumers when products they buy on Amazon have recalls or warnings, a step that might help parents who turn online for a quick place to buy anything from cribs to toys.
If the product is illegal in the U.S., you shouldn't be able to buy it, whether it's coming from China or anywhere else. You shouldn't be able to buy it in the U.S. That's a loophole or responsibility that I've only just recently become aware of, and I would like to see that change. And again, I'd like the companies to handle it.
In the hospital, Abby asked her parents if she would be on TV.
We have videos of her singing and dancing, even when she's carrying around her pumps and everything else. So the question wasn't that surprising, like, am I going to be on TV?
Abby is on TV again. Her father will continue talking about her, continuing pushing for better government oversight until his mission is accomplished.
We said, why, honey? And she says, we need to tell families about this pool drain thing so that I don't want any other kids to get hurt like I got hurt.